Happy Friday, everyone. It is November 28th, 2025, and today is what I call Question Friday. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Mel. I channel messages, I read energy, I remote view, and do all sorts of things. Now, the question that I've selected today, that is with my spirit team and those who are going to likely be helping answer this question is this. What can I expect after the splitting of the worlds is completed? Now, I know many of us have asked that question in one way or another, right? And I've had numerous clients in client session ask that question. And of course, there's never a full answer because even the spirit teams will not relinquish more information than they're allowed. So when I was given this information or this question to choose, I was surprised, okay, nonetheless, because that is the last thing that I would have chosen because I didn't think anybody was going to answer that. So I'm going to be really looking forward to what I have to say today and who will answer this question for us, because that's another thing that I do not know. So that said, let's begin. Let me tune in and see who would like to answer that question for us today, okay? There is much speculation amongst the spiritual community about what the separation of worlds looks like and what happens after it is completed. The subject is quite complex. However, we wanted to give you a brief idea and understanding about what it is that you can expect so that you can prepare and so as to satisfy your curiosity. Once the worlds separate completely, that is, as you know, at the moment, the third dimensional space and the fifth dimensional spaces are still intermingling. Many have seen changes in their personal lives, which indicate that a separation is underway. However, you can still be and communicate with individuals in the third dimensional space. That is going to change once the separation of the worlds is completed. The souls that have chosen to continue their journeys in the third dimensional spaces, and we say spaces because there are different tiers, even in the third dimensional realm, will be completely disconnected from those in the new earth. So you in the fifth dimensional spaces, again, we speak of spaces as there are different tiers as well, will not be able to communicate with souls and individuals who have chosen to be or remain in the third dimensional realms. Many of you cannot fathom what this may look like. Let us put it this way. You will find that your environment changes, that certain individuals will no longer be living where they used to, that buildings no longer stand in the same location, or that certain aspects of your reality look different, feel different. The interesting part is that you in the higher realms, and we say higher realms because not only due to the tiers in the fifth dimensional spaces, but there are many who occupy that space already, who are operating on a much higher dimensional frequency than just the fifth. They, too, will see physical changes for the first time in more ways than one. Many refer to this as Mandela effects. However, it is much more than that. It is a complete adjustment of spaces that comes with realigning into higher frequencies. Now, speaking of the different tiers, there are those who are already occupying the fifth dimensional space and higher spaces at this very moment. They will be more calm and collected when the separation of the worlds takes place. However, there is a large part of the human collective that will ascend into the higher dimensional spaces that do not understand what is happening. It is important that you assist them in adjusting to this new world. We will not speak on specifics with regard to your systems. Just know that there will be some changes that will happen before the separation of the worlds is completed. When it comes to occupying or existing within the different tiers, know that the densities that are in the spaces just beyond the fourth dimension may show individuals behaving or acting much like before, although they do not occupy the same space. The different densities are considered the different tiers. The higher the density, the higher the tier, the higher the dimensional space and spatial frequency. Within the fifth dimension and higher dimensions. All in all, you can expect your physical environment to look different to the extent that you cannot explain what is happening. You can expect yourselves to be able to access your abilities a lot quicker and easier, depending on the tier you find yourself in. Again, those who are operating from the higher dimensional spaces and tiers will find it much more easy to do so than those who are only beginning. We do not wish to speak about those who are remaining in the third dimensional spaces, for even there are different tiers and different realities and timelines that will take place. Know that you create the space and reality you are in at any given time. This continues as you shift and move into the higher dimensional spaces. There is a tier system in every dimensional space. Know that even if it may not feel like you have shifted, you probably have, because you are listening to this transmission and you have an interest in understanding yourself and this process. Although that is not exclusive. There will be many who are shifting who have no idea of what is happening. So we ask that you remain calm, that you offer support to the extent that you feel comfortable, and to just allow for this process to unfold as it needs to. Do not apply logic, for it will not hold for what is to come. I am Metatron. Whoa, Archangel Metatron today. Pretty long message, over 12 minutes, just about. So how about that? Let me know what you think. He's basically telling us that there are different tiers. He's calling them tiers. And, you know, I've heard this before, is that there's this, some spiritualists have spoken of, you know, when the shift happens, that there's this beautiful world that appears. And that's not the case, because there are different tiers in which you find yourself in, I guess is what I'm going to use that term that he uses now, that will still allow you to sort of create more and more of what it is that you would like. However, he is pointing out that once the shift is completed, that there is no more connection between those souls that are ascending and those souls who have chosen not to. And that we can expect changes in our environment. So, and I that matches what I've seen. I've been shown this kind of stuff before. I've actually been shown that a certain person that I know, who I know isn't ascending, won't be living in the same house. Somebody else will come out of the home. I have been shown that people will walk out into their backyard and see a different neighbor and not understand why a different neighbor is living right next to them when the previous neighbor has been there for 20 years. That's the kind of thing that I was shown in the past. And when he's talking about this, that our environment changes, that buildings no longer exist or aren't there, or, you know, that makes sense to me. It sort of validates and confirms what I've been shown in the past, here and there. I don't know much more about what is happening and how it unfolds, but hey, at least we get a little something, right? So let me know what you think about Metatron's message today. What have you heard or believe is going to happen, or what it will look like? I'd love to see your comments. And of course, as always, stay tuned for more. Bye.